Today's topic is about pizzicato. There are two types, the right hand and the left hand pizzicato. Here is the notation for the right hand pizzicato. Usually, you will see the abbreviation of the word pizz over the note. There are a few ways to pluck the string. In the orchestral music, if you have a few notes of pizzicato and then you need to switch back to arco, my suggestion will be keep the same right hand position. Keep the bow in your hand and only extend the index finger, which is the closest finger to pluck the string. This way, you can save your time between the switch. If you have a long passage of pizzicato and some rests before switching back to arco, you can either grab your bow like this for the pizzicato, it makes it easier and more comfortable to pluck strings for a long period of time. Or you can simply put your bow down on your lap and do the plucking just with your finger. There are a couple of options. The first option is the standard one, which most people use. The second option is put your right hand thumb against the edge of the fingerboard, then pluck the other strings. Your thumb should not move, as it serves as the supporting point. This option might suit some people. With either option, you can do one finger or multiple fingers for plucking. In fast passages or a long passage, when your first finger gets tired, you might want to switch to other fingers. There is a special pizzicato called the Bartók Pizzicato, which was named after the composer Béla Bartók. He used it often in his compositions, which became very popular and it inspired many later composers. Let me show you how it works. I put my finger deeply into the string and then pull it away from it as far as I can so that the string snaps back percussively to the fingerboard. Listen. It doesn't sound like something from a violin, right? More like a percussion instrument. Here is an example of the fourth movement of Bartók's String Quartet, number 4. Now, let's move on to the left hand pizzicato. The notation is different. You will see a plus sign over the note. The abbreviation pizz is not always written on the music. The left hand pizzicato can be a very virtuosic technique. Paganini and Sarasate used it a lot in their compositions. It is a very complicated subject. Since this series of videos is about orchestra sight reading, I just want to cover some basics. First, like the vibrato exercise, you should start on the third position, plucking open strings, because some part of your palm are attaching to the violin, which give your fingers strong support. You will find the pinky being the easiest finger, while the index finger being the most difficult finger to pluck. Because the angle, the index finger gets the least flash to pluck, so it is hard to hear. You should adjust the angle of your left elbow, wrist, thumb, and fingers somewhat to the left to maximize using each finger's flash part for plucking. After you are comfortable on the third position, you can try other positions. One suggestion: when you are on A, D, and G string on lower positions, you can put the middle part of your palm to the neck in order to get some support. This only applies to the left hand pizzicato. For the rest of the time, you should never put your palm to the neck. After you're used to open strings, you can start the next step. The left hand pizzicato usually involves two fingers, just like when you're playing the artificial harmonics. One finger needs to firmly press down, and another finger plucks the string. You need to press down and then go sideways. The tension of the left hand and fingers are tremendous, so I don't recommend practicing the left hand pizzicato for more than 2 minutes in a row. There are two famous orchestral repertoire that feature the right hand pizzicato for the entire movement, like Tchaikovsky's No. 4th Symphony and Britten Simple Symphony. Here is the third movement of Tchaikovsky's No. 4th Symphony. For the right hand pizzicato, I recommend the Essential Techniques for Strings, Violin, Book 1, by Hal Leonard Corporation. After you are familiar with the right hand pizzicato, you can start the left hand pizzicato. I have written some exercise, which are going to be on the next 2 slides. You can pause the video for practicing purpose. The lower fingerings indicate the finger that stops the string, and the circled numbers indicate the finger that plucks the string. Most of the time, you are sharing chords with your stem partner in the orchestra, which we call divisi. However, sometimes you do need to play the entire chord by yourself, like the ending of the Nutcracker Overture. You can extend the index finger and pluck the strings together. Make sure you straighten your finger. Don't bend it. Here is an example of Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker Overture. Straightening your finger is particularly important in some musical context, where you need to do the up and down stroke pizzicato, like when you're playing with the bow. Here is an example of Ravel's Bolero. The last thing I want to talk about today, about pizzicato, is its guitar style in some orchestral repertoire. In this scenario, you are imitating the guitar player. Put your bow down, hold your violin like you are holding a guitar. Instead of using index finger, you are plucking strings with a thumb, like this. Hope you enjoy this episode. See you next time.